This is the There Is Another Way podcast from spencerbruce.com. Making life work as a creative.
Hi there, boys and girls. Brucey here with this week's There Is Another Way podcast. How are you all doing out there? I hope you had an absolutely fantastic week. We're welcoming in June now, halfway through the year. Where has it all gone? I hope you're all awesome and fantastic and doing really well wherever you are in the world. What we're going to do this week? Well, obviously last week, I hope you had some time to think about the whys, why you're doing this, why you want to do all the things that you want to do. Question yourself. Obviously last week was a bit of a tough week. There's a lot to think about. I don't want to dwell on that too much. Thank you for your kind words, those who wrote to me about it, and your support. Tough times, but we live in tough times. All times are tough, I guess, and it's how we deal with it. And ultimately, that's the reason why we're here with this podcast, where we're trying to do things differently and make sure that the short time we have on this rock is the best time that we possibly can have, and we make the most of it, and we make the most of opportunities, and we aren't constrained by the system, the big, horrible, evil system. Or I say that in jest, there are some benefits to the system. That's why it exists. My news this week. Been doing some guitar playing, got some recording to do. I'm doing a little bit of a session job, recording on a few tracks. Also working on a demo for a new product which is coming out, and also releasing a whole bunch of videos. So there's a lot going on. Also, very kindly, Hal Weaver, check him out, weaverworks.com, has been a guest on the show, and we've done some work together. He's submitting one of his films, which has got some of my music on it, into a film festival, and I will keep you updated about how that all goes, but that's very exciting. And again, I think this week, what I wanted to talk about, it kind of ties into last week, because last week, there was probably a slightly depressing, it had depressing elements, it wasn't the podcast wasn't born out of happiness, but I got to thinking about a lot about the why and why I'm doing this, and looking back at my life and reflecting, and you get some painful answers to some of the things you're thinking, but you've got to keep moving on. And so this week I want to talk about challenging your beliefs, and part of that comes from, again, spending too much time online. One of the things I'm really, really getting to a limit of at the moment, and it's really interesting talking to a few people recently that they really thought, or they're really thinking that they're spending too much time online and it's not being productive, and actually just want to interact with people again. There's a strong change. When you start hearing other people talking about the same things you're thinking, that's when things start to really happen. And I've noticed from friends and online as well, ironically, that people are really saying, they kind of had enough with the social media. It's kind of had its day a little bit. It's time to move on. There's just too much stuff, and there's too much noise, and there's too much just shouting, fakeness, horribleness, and people just don't want that. You want to move away from that, and I'm feeling that a lot, particularly with obviously the tragedy that's happened here in Manchester, and reading about all that stuff and people's beliefs, and it's just shocking. You just think, would you really be like this, in the real world, if you met these people? And conversely, we've moved on from that in the UK here. Sorry, I don't mean that in a flippant way, but we're back into election season, and there's so much fake news and fake beliefs and people's strange beliefs on both sides, on all sides, and it's just like, make it stop. I don't know what to believe anymore. And it's this idea that got me thinking about, well, this is just the same as, what I'm doing here. This is a belief system that I have. But also, it's challenging another belief system. And that belief system seems to be the one that is ingrained in my generation. I think probably the generation before that, my parents' generation, definitely my grandparents' generation, and the generation after mine. But I think the newer generation are starting to have a slightly different belief system in relation to work and making things work, because of the nature of the world. The world has changed. And again, this is where I want to go this week. It's challenging your beliefs and thinking about where those beliefs, and again, in this context, it's all about work. So you can get existential and get bigger and think about life, and we can go there, but I'm really thinking about where this attitude of work came, where the 9 to 5 came from, where the working till you're 65 came from, where do all, it's just a method of control, it would seem, by Victorian, I guess, taskmasters who, as part of the Industrial Revolution, wanted to control people, get people into the same place and get as much work out of them as possible. And this system has prevailed, and it was very much instilled in me at school. This is where belief systems, I guess, really become manifested as at school, and it's believing someone else. And I'm drawing this parallel now with what we see on social media, what we see on the news of a point in 2017 where how do we know what is true anymore? Where is the truth? And I guess that's an important point, because ultimately there is no truth apart from your truth. And your truth comes from your experience, and you're seeing things with your eyes. That is the only truth. A teacher is guiding you through a system of their beliefs and their belief systems. And that is what I'm doing here with you guys. I am kind of saying, these are my beliefs. This is how I am doing things. This is my truth. This is my reality. I think some of you, I guess, because you keep listening, are kind of interested in it and you want to go down a similar path. But I guess the thing I'm kind of coming to terms with is, some of you might be listening to me thinking, this is the way to do it. He's saying it, this what must be true. But I can only say it's true for me. I can only give you advice and help. And I think this is one of the problems with, what's going on in the social media world and in the news world. There's so many sides, and you do believe someone. You believe the BBC, you believe CNN, you believe whoever you believe as your source of news. But there is an agenda there from all sides. And the thing is, that agenda has become so confused now. You don't know who to believe. And when you don't know who to believe and you've got no faith in anything, that makes things even worse. And it feels like sometimes like you're banging your head against a brick wall when you see, such as the president of America. It's like, how did he get there? How did that happen? And it's because his marketing department spewed out all this stuff that some people, some people believed it. Now, we don't know if they're wrong or they're right. And this is the point I'm trying to get to. The only really thing you can discover for yourself is through doing, being, seeing, and believing. And if you want a different style of lifestyle, you have to believe and find out for yourself. I'm here to guide you. Others are here to guide you. There's so many things on the website here to guide you. And when I'm thinking it and I'm saying these things, it really takes me back to some important lessons I got when I, from teaching and lecturing at university and those kind of things. It's I believe one of this idea comes from a book called The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And it's the idea that as a teacher, you don't stand at the front of a class and tell people things for them to accumulate knowledge. The best learning is when you walk side by side with that person, with that group. You are learning and they are learning. You may have some experience in this area, some beliefs in this area that you are testing with this group of people. And through that testing, they are questioning. And it's through that questioning that they are learning. But you are learning too. I am learning. And I am learning all the time. And that's why I really love doing the interviews with this thing, is because I'm questioning it as well. This is my beliefs. I believe that I can't work in a 9-to-5 environment anymore. Why? Because through many, many years of doing it, through being redundant and seeing how it works, I've stepped outside that. And I'm kind of like that person going, don't do it. Don't go into the building. Don't do it. But a lot of people think I'm the crazy person. And and it's just the same as all us going like, Donald Trump is mental. He's absolutely mental. But there's a whole bunch of people saying, you're crazy people. Why are you saying that? He's great. It's belief systems. And ultimately, you can only find that out for yourself. But I'm glad you're here. And that is why I say every week without fail, please do question me. Please do ask questions. Please do input, because this is a two-way thing. I want to learn from you guys and how you're doing it, or what your questions are, what your problems are. Because I might have had the same problems, and maybe I haven't crossed my mind to discuss them on the podcast, but I'm happy to discuss anything. You may have found another way of doing it. There is another way. Maybe there's another way of doing these things. But going back to the point this week, it's about, the thing that always strikes me about what's happening today is marketing is king. Getting your message out, pumping millions and millions and billions of pounds into getting a message out, that makes it a reality. And people buying into that reality. And I'm really sad to say, I'm not going to accuse you, I'll accuse myself here. I buy into it. I buy Fender guitars. Why? Because the marketing's really good. I buy Ibanez guitars because they're marketing. I want certain things. I want an Apple computer because are they a better computer? Do they, ultimately at the end of the day, their marketing is better. They've created desire. They've controlled my mind. They've changed my belief system. And the reality is, when you get down to it, I've had loads of problems, and I've probably talked about them. I've definitely talked to some of you about them with Apple computers. And I feel that, the marketing then goes, I'm ranting and raving about them, going, they keep doing this, blah, 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 blah. And oops, banged the table there. Apologies for that. But at the end of the day, I still go back. It's like the Kool-Aid. I'm sucking the Kool-Aid of the cult. I'm part of the cult. My own belief system challenges my own belief system. It's kind of strange. But again, where I'm getting to with this is these belief systems were instilled in us at school. The school was marketing it to us because that is just the route to living a life, apparently. You go to school. You take some tests, or in this day and age, you take more tests and more tests because we can measure tests. And tests are a good indication of fuck all, in my opinion. That you're on one day for 2 hours, you can do a good job of remembering something. Where is that applicable in life? It's not really applicable, but I am going to change the education system. I do believe exams and testing is a good thing, but the way we do it currently we're in 2017. There's better ways of finding out how intelligent people are. And I'm not saying intelligence is a measurable factor. We all have different intelligences. School does not test that. School just says you can remember some stuff and you can put it down in a quick time, and maybe you can argue through something, but we're just going to test you because that's an easy, if everyone does really well, the school must be really good. If everyone does really bad, the school must be really bad and the teacher's really bad and we can sack them. Again, we've become a construct of a marketing thought process measured society when we're people at the end of the day, and we should develop as people. We should encourage people who aren't so good at remembering maths to do something else, because it's not all about maths. Although maths is cool, and if you want some math tuition, please do hook me up and I will try and sort it out, because maths can be made easy. It's just the way you frame it. And if the teacher in front of you frames something in the wrong way and you don't get it, doesn't mean you can't get it. I'm a strong believer of that. And that's not criticizing the teacher. Again, it's their belief system. It's their pathway. It's how they understand something. And they can see it, and it's clear as day. They've had the light bulb moment that they understand it. But they might not be able to explain it to someone else to have a light bulb moment of their own. It might take something completely different. It might be something completely obtuse, a 180-degree turn of explaining something, and then someone can go, I get it now. And I'm pretty sure that's happened to all of you out there. But going back to school, so we're tested and we're tested and we're tested. And then however we do on one day in June, determines the course of our life. Because, you can go to university, or in England, you can go on and do your A-levels, then you can go into university. But if you did really badly, then it sucks as a system. But this is what's pumped into us. You must go on, you must do your O-levels or GCSEs. You must get all A stars, and then you must go on and do your A-levels. And you must get all A's, and then you must go to a top university. And then you must go into a graduate training scheme. And then 45 years later, you must walk out of there with a load of money and a good bunch of money for a pension. And whoopee-doo, you've got another, God forbid, 40 years to live these days. Healthcare is good. Get into your 90s. Freaking awesome. But hey, you're really old and you've ruined 45 years of your life just churning away. Yeah, you might have money, but what does it mean when you're just churning away and you hate it? But it's a belief system. It's a belief system we've been instructed as people to believe is what you should do. And if you don't do it, you're a nutcase. You're a dropout. You're lazy. You're one of those kind of people. But you're not. You need to sometimes change the belief system. And I think I'm fortunate enough to have seen it in action and realized that that's just a belief system. I'm going to be that outsider, outlier, because I don't want to do that. My life isn't about that. And it doesn't make sense to me. There's so much to see. There's so much to explore. There's so many people to engage with and learn from and constantly learn and create. But help as well. It's not saying, as I always say almost every week, it's not about not working. It's about working for you. It's about working for your family. It's about exploring and discovering and creating and making the world a better place when you leave it. And yeah, you need to earn some coin along the way to keep you in beans and, shoes and being able to travel. But ultimately, when you start doing it, you realize you don't need that much. It's the marketing again that's coming in and getting you and saying, hey, buddy, you haven't got a BMW, so you're fucking worthless. You're just scum. You haven't got this BMW or an Audi or a Lexus or whatever. So therefore, you're worthless. Until you get that, and you're like, I need to carry on in my job. And the marketing as well, the guys to keep you in the system. A bit like a religion, a bit like a religious system oppresses people, tells you what the boundaries are. And if you break the boundaries, then, you're going to go to hell. Just come to work, be a good employee, go up the chain. We'll give you more money to go up the chain, but you have to work harder. And when I say work harder, you probably don't do much more. You're just going to be sat around in meetings and doing more reports and sat around because we don't really have a lot of work to do in these big companies. They don't really work hard. It's not hard work. It's not building a building or building a house, or looking after people who are disadvantaged. That's hard work. Or caring for people, like a nurse or a doctor. That's hard work. They should be paid, not, people probably, and I don't mean to be disrespect to you because I know some of you are sat in offices, but what are you really doing? But it's the marketing. The marketing is controlling us to say we need to do this, and I'll put up with this. I'll put up with this today. I'll put up with this today, and I'll put up with today, and I'll put up with today, and today becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes next year. And you put up, and then they give you a little bit of throw a bone at you. Like, hey, got a promotion. Hey, haven't you a couple of £1,000 more a year? That's great. And then you go and spend it. And I keep going back to this because it's it's the strongest thing for me. You're unhappy, so you go and buy some more crap to just take the edge off. It's like a drug. It's like you take the edge off it. I've got my new TV or I've got my new thing. It was really exciting buying it, and I did all research and I get excited and I got happy and the endorphins are flowing. I'm kind of happy. But no, I've got it now and I've kind of, it's not changed my life. The BMW didn't really change my life. It's still a car. It still breaks down. Still get stuck in traffic. Except, I'm in something a little bit more comfortable, but it's costing me a lot more. That's not living. That's the marketing. And I'm really sorry. I think this is turning into a bit of a rant, but I hope, as always podcasts, it's like, I just want you to challenge your belief system, but don't listen to me. Because what do I know? I could be the same. You've got to challenge it for yourself and find out these things for yourself. You might be happy doing that. That might make you as happy as a pig in shit. But not me. And I know there's one or two out there. It's not you. And I'm not saying it's not you. You're telling me it's not you. We have the conversations. We sit down and we talk. And, you're just so miserable and happy. But the marketing has got you. It's like saying to you, I'm trying to think of a kind of religious, like, let's say you're a devout religious guy. And they say, can't be doing things unless you're married. Sex before marriage. You're going to burn in hell for that. But how many people do it? You challenge the belief and you do it, but some people don't. They wouldn't do that. And it's a bit like work. You can see the outside. You can see other people doing it, and you're thinking, but they said if I leave here, then my pension might not be complete, and the future. Some people's future doesn't exist. The future is what you make it tomorrow. And again, this is a lesson for myself. I go up and down, and some of you will testify to this. This isn't all shits and giggles. Doing this is hard work as well, and it's painful work. And the hardest part of it is some of the things we've discussed in previous podcasts. It's dealing with your confidence being battered all the time. That's pretty hard. Feeling that you're not wanted. There's so many things that you feel when you're trying to go out on your own and live it. But I wouldn't change it for the world. And part of doing these podcasts makes me realize I feel sometimes I'm talking to myself. I'm not talking to you. Sorry, but I am. But I'm talking to myself and telling myself just to keep on, because that's the easy thing as well. The marketing says, you can slip back into a job and I'll be fine and I'll obey that, and then I'll just be Monday to Friday, going back, doing the thing, getting, got some money coming in, feeling secure. That's the thing about this, why the marketing works, because it makes you feel secure until they don't want you anymore. And then you're kicked out, and that's the biggest shock of all. But when you do, there is another way. Sometimes And, I'll testify to this. When you haven't super cracked it, every day is that day. You think, am I going to be safe tomorrow? But yes, you are. Of course you'll be safe tomorrow. You've only got to look around your friends and family. They're not going to see you struggle. You might have to own up and say, things aren't going so well. I need some help, maybe financially, but probably not. It probably won't be financially. It's just like, can you do this for me? Like help me find someone to do a website or whatever it is. Can you find some, I need some more bits and pieces of work. Do you know anyone who needs what I do? Pass it around the network. So I realized I've got kind of quite ranty this week, and I just hope you can hear this is coming from the heart, because it's something I've thought about quite a lot. And it is this way of trying to break away from the programming that we've had from a lifetime, which is really hard. And I know some of you are listening to this out there, and you're in your job, and all you want to do is do something different. But unfortunately, like me with Apple, the marketing, the programming is so strong that I just get stuck. I kind of go, I kind of look at PCs. Well, I'm looking at breaking away. I'm looking at PCs, but no, I'll just come back because I'm safe with Apple. I'm safe here. Everything's good. I'll just, maybe next time, maybe next year, next computer. Next year I'll leave my job. Next year I'll need more time to think. I need more time to program myself. What can I say? You can draw so many analogies with this. It's really hard, and I'm not encouraging it. I just encouraging you, like last week, to think about the why you need to do something, and this week think about the beliefs. List them. What are the beliefs you have about work, and can you challenge them? Can you find your own truth? Because that's all that matters in the universe, is finding your own truth. And to wrap up with this, I stumbled across a page, funnily enough, through Stumble Upon, and it was an article about a whole bunch of sentences. And, we're surrounded by motivational sentences all the time, motivational posters. And that's the thing that kind of gets us inspired. And then we retweet it or we put it on our Facebook and we go, yeah, that's us. We're going to move on because we've read this inspirational quote or this poster. And then we don't. I'm going to read out a few of them. And again, take some time to just think about them and think about how they can help you on your journey. Because I really feel that some of them are great and really applicable to what we've been talking about this week. So hopefully these sentences will empower you to aim higher, to move forward, to take a step. Again, that step might be, if you've been an Apple user, maybe just going onto the Dell website. Other computers are available, obviously, and looking at a PC. You're here, you're listening to this podcast. So you got interest, but maybe you can do it. And I'm not encouraging you to do it. I encourage you to live your life the way you want to do it and sort things out for yourself. So here are some things that really resonate with me. Number one, never compare your weaknesses to other people's strengths. I'll let that sink in for a moment. We've all got weaknesses. We can all improve in areas. We're always learning, going back to what I was saying earlier. Other people have strength because they've been on a different journey. If you love playing golf and you've been an account manager for 20 years, you ain't going to beat Tiger Woods. Oops, probably dodgy talking about him at the moment, given that, he's just ended up being arrested for being drunk. But hey, I'm going to have to go along with this analogy now. But, he had a different journey. He was playing golf from the age of 5 every day. It's a different journey, but that doesn't mean you can't do something. That is his strength. It is not your weakness. Your weakness might be that you don't win every game of golf, or you want to hit a shot a different way. I don't know what I'm talking about because I know nothing about golf. Maybe I should have stuck with a musician. But, don't compare your journey to another musician, for example. You're on a different journey. The next thing is, number 2, is own your life. It's your life. And this is what we've been talking about so much in this podcast. Don't let someone else own it. Don't let a company, don't let a marketing company, don't let Facebook, don't let Twitter own your life. You own it. You make the decisions. You find your truth. Don't believe someone else's truth. Don't live someone else's idea of what your life should be. That is crucial. And I read a statement years, 15 years ago, 17 years ago, I don't know, it was around the turn of the millennium. And it was something along those lines. Don't lead someone else's idea of what your life should be. We read the books, we think, oh, that's what my life should be. Lead your life. Make your discoveries. Make your mistakes, because you will make mistakes. You'll make some really big mistakes. But if you accept you'll make mistakes, you'll also make some big successes along the way too. Another one I like, number 3, is like with any card game, you can't change the cards you've got. You can't change where you grew up. Maybe you didn't grow up in an affluent, suburb of some city where, with rich parents got you into a great school. You've just got to play the hand that you have. And sometimes you lose the game, but sometimes you win. You just got to be in the game and play. You can't worry about where you've come from and why you didn't get those breaks. But you can't change them either. You can't change who you are, the colour of your skin, the colour of your hair, the shape of your nose. What a bunch of bullshit, Bruce. Of course you can. But let's go with the big one. You can't change the colour of your skin. You can't change where you were born. Unfortunately, and I guess if you're listening to this, or majority of people listening to this, we are really fortunate. It might not feel that way. And that's another kind of scandal for me, is how there are so many people in this world scrambling to live on like $1 a day. Absolutely scrambling. And we are in these offices and we hate our lives. There's so much else out there to do. And we are so fortunate, but we're wasting it. We're frittering it away because of the system is telling us to do that. If you accept your limitations, you can go beyond them. If you know what your limitations are, you will move beyond them, because that is learning. That is progressing. That is moving forward. And finally, for this, I'm probably going to come back to this next week, because I think it's a great thing, is if you risk nothing, you risk everything. There's been so many, great quotes out there about, risk and taking risks. But that is true, isn't it? You have to take a risk, but that's where the problem lies. Going back to the safety. Companies are telling you, don't take risks because you might get to 65 and you haven't got a big enough pension. How are you going to live? Hey, buddy, I'm only 30. Or whatever, I'm not. But, who knows in 35 years' time or 25 years' time if you big pension company are going to exist. There's been so many cases of pension companies going bust and people losing all their money. And, don't rely on the future or risk in the future of something that's not averse. That's like saying you're driving down the road and in 3 miles there's a lorry, a truck, for my American listeners. And that's dangerous. The truck driver, he's had a drink or something. Sorry, truck driver. I don't know. There's some risk. There's a pothole. And people are telling you, I'm going to protect you from the pothole in the future and blah, blah, blah. Well, you've still got another couple of miles to go. And hey, no, you might be going down that and you might see a turn off of the motorway and you might go down there. That's an option. Also, the thing is, because you're a good driver and you're aware and you're present in the moment, you're driving and you're driving and you're driving. And then when you get to that point, you go, oh, there's a pothole, because you've got experience and you know how to deal with things. So don't worry about the future. Take risks. It's easy. It doesn't seem that way, but maybe take a small risk. Maybe look at a PC website, to go back to an analogy. Sorry, that's a bit flippant, but I'm not making light of it. Maybe don't take a massive risk. Maybe don't just quit your job today with no planning, although, that's a big risk. What's the worst that can happen? Seriously, ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Will you die because you've left your job today? And without sounding too flippant as well, that's one of the things I say to a lot of people. And it's one of the things that I've said to myself quite a lot. And it's quite extreme, so I apologize to more sensitive listeners. But I say to myself, will I die as a result of this action? And if the answer is no, or could I die, or could I hurt someone? That's let's fill it out. As a result of this action, and that takes on many forms. Of course, I'm not talking about physically hurting, emotionally hurt. Or will I be considered a shit for doing this decision? But on the whole, if you're worried about leaving your job, will you die? No. I doubt it. There's so many secure things. You're a sensible person. You've managed to download a podcast. 100 years ago, this would all be like high tech. Like no one would even have a concept of what we're doing right now. So will you die as a result of doing some action that progresses your life for the better? If the answer is yes, then maybe you need to take some more consideration into that moment. But if it's no, then go for it. Think. Be aware, be present, use your experience, use your knowledge, and learn. So I think it's time I probably wrapped up for today. I've waffled on and on and on and on. I hope you find that useful and not too extreme and ranty. I always want to hear from you. Please do look at the Facebook group, There Is Another Way podcast on Facebook. Send me your thoughts, send me your feelings. I really want to hear them. Wishing you all the very best for the next week. I will catch you again later. Have a great week and catch you later.